Hello people, so welcome to our review of One Piece chapter 1053. Bunch of big news literally in this chapter, although in the previous chapter the big news came from what was taking place outside of the chapter when it comes to Oda's message that he left us. Obviously the One Piece film red trailer, One Piece Odyssey, the game that got revealed via trailer, which ties into the colour spread and the cover of Weekly Shonen Jump. We got Uta and Luffy on the cover, and we got another animated character now. I can only assume that's the animated version of the voice actress Wano, who's going to be performing the vocals for Uta in the character. We know Uta's going to have two voice actors. Also, the colour spread is to pretty much promote One Piece Odyssey. We've got the girl who's going to be interacting there. The guy who's with him, obviously with the white hair, the pistol and the tattoo. It does kind of resemble Momonosuke, just with the hair, I guess, and the facial features. But everything else is completely different. We've got some animals there, including the sea lion that was chaining under Luffy, so that's pretty cool. You got Nami, Usopp, and Chopper alongside Luffy represent the Straw Hats, even though we know the entire crew is going to be in the game. Is Jinbei also going to be a part of this game? I don't know. If you know, let me know in the comments, but I haven't really heard about that. Let's get into this chapter, and the chapter pretty much starts off the same way it started the last chapter at Merajose with the Gorosei, and the Elder with the mustache is pissed because of what was leaked out from Wano. And this is very interesting because he's talking to one of the Marines, and it's like, who the hell told you that to add the D? We do not approve of this. You better take that D out of that wanted poster, because we can't have this shit getting out. Plus, I find it interesting that the CP0 agent that dipped, we can already assume it's that one because he's the only one alive, that took the picture of Luffy while he was in Gear 5th. That's two things for them to be pissed about. But they've got no one to blame but themselves, because they were too nonchalant about this. They thought Kaido would get the job against Luffy, which is why the CP0 agent interfered but failed, only led to the awakening of the Guma Guma no Mi into the Nika Nika model. And now this is getting out because Morgan's News found a way to get information about this. The Cypher Pole's transmission broke off from Wano when they saw Big Mom's ship. Now I'm curious, was that when they arrived at Wano or after? That's what Morgan's News says, so I'm guessing that's how he got the information. But Morgan's obviously revealed the truth to the people of the world, which he ends up doing. So he spreads the news. The world has now learned that Kaido and Big Mom have been taken down, and we get the three Supernova trio with the bounty increase. All three of them, Kid Law and Luffy, are 3 billion each, which now puts them ahead of Teach, but below Shanks, which I pretty much said I figured it'd be around that ballpark, 3 billion at minimum. So yeah, it makes total sense. You don't have him surpass Shanks, and you don't have him surpass Roger and Whitebeard just yet. And they took down a Yonko, so they do deserve some recognition for this, especially Kid Law. Kid's bounty must have shot up real high, because the last we saw of his bounty was what was it, 470 million. That was pre-time skip, and we haven't seen his bounty since, so we could have raised, we don't know. We do know Law's bounty was at 500 mil after Dressrosa, as was Luffy until Whole Cake Island. Then it skyrocketed to 1.5 bill. Now it's at 3 billion each, which makes sense for each of them, considering they all took down Yonko respectively. Kid and Law took down Big Mom, Luffy took down Kaido. I'm real curious about the rest of the Straw Hats and the rest of Kid and Law's crew, what their bounties are going to be, especially Killer, because he was fighting Kaido alongside Zoro, so he deserves some respect too. Shame Beppo didn't get some shine in Wano, it really is, considering we know he's a Mink too. I'm real curious though what the Straw Hats bounties are going to be, specifically Zoro, Sanji, and Robin's. They're the bounties I expect to shoot up, especially if Robin avoids being captured. Yeah, her bounty's going to skyrocket, especially after this chapter. Yeah, from there to what's going on in Wano, and the celebrations continue. And we see Jinbei's at the palace where everybody is not there to celebrate Momonosuke becoming the Shogun. But Jinbei's the only one waiting because like everybody else is off doing their own thing in the town. I can't blame them, because if I had to sit around for 2 hours, I'd get bored too. So they're off at the festival. It is cool because it really is like a giant Japanese festival. Oda back at it again was showing the culture of Japan, the homeland of Japan. In Wano, you got like the scooping the goldfish, and you got shooting games. What else would you expect at a festival or a carnival? But we see Luffy, Chopper, and Yamato, and this scene's pretty much adorable because you got Luffy munching on soba and takoyaki at the same time. Chopper's going on cloud 9 with cotton candy. Yamato's eating candy apples, so that's adorable. I'm wondering if this is going to lead, if that's what Oda's gearing us up for. I don't know. I'm still on the fence about that, whether or not it's actually going to happen. But it is cool to see these three. Hiyori playing Moon Princess to like bring out the music, so that's pretty cool. It makes sense because it's the song that opened up Wano. So yeah, to me, the most important part of this chapter and the most important player in this chapter, Robin, doing her thing, looking at the raw poneglyph. Although it's kind of like a similar scenario where she's looking at the dolls before she has the chance to, before we see her get a chance to scoop out the poneglyph. She got interrupted by the only one Banshu back in Act 2. It's the same thing here. She gets interrupted, but this time it's Hitetsu, and we're going to find out his real identity, which I can't say it's a shock to many, considering it was heavily speculated, but it is cool. And we come to find out Hitetsu was actually captured. And he was captured and kept in this basement, and he found the way to escape. And we come to find out Hitetsu is none other than Sukiyaki Kazuki, the father of Odin. He didn't die. He didn't die to food poisoning. He was actually locked up by Orochi. I'm guessing Orochi made the lie to like make it seem like he died so he can take over his position as Shogun. Robin sees this. He's like, aren't you going to tell Momo about this? And Sukiyaki's like, no, I'm not going to tell him because how could I at this point? And he felt like committing seppuku after he escaped and come to find out that Wano was in ruin thanks to Kaido and Orochi. So his character gets wrapped up, and I'm wondering what's going to happen with, because he was the one that told Zoro about Eminem not becoming a Black Blade. So that's very poetic considering now we know he's the one that told Zoro about that. But here it's like, this is the most important part. Robin's cutting straight to the chase. It's somewhere here, the ancient weapon, Pluton. That's what the poneglyph said back in Alabasta. So I love how that plot point from all the way back then is getting brought up here. And it's having a payoff. But that doesn't explain what's on the poneglyph that Robin is reading right now. Plus we know Law discovered a poneglyph, a Rio poneglyph, in Kaido's mansion. Obviously, that information hasn't been disclosed yet, at least not to Robin that we know of. We don't get a chance to hear that out because we go elsewhere to Udon prison, where we see the subordinates of Kaido being drained and being stabbed by plant vines. Come to find out King and Queen have also been subdued by none other than Ryogakyu, the Admiral Green Bull. We get his appearance, which is pretty cool, and his abilities, which is pretty terrifying, I won't lie. Also think it's pretty cool. He uses vines to drink the alcohol barrels. I thought that's real creative on the part of Oda. We get his appearance. It looks pretty cool, I will admit. Like you see him extending his fingernails as plant vines to like drain all the nutrients. Which, speaking of Alabasta, that kind of reminds me of Crocodile, the way he would use his Devil Fruit ability, the way he got rid of Luffy's moisture. I do remember that. So yeah, it kind of reminds me of that. But it's interesting. Like he doesn't want Akainu to know what he's up to. He's like, but bring a warship. Aren't the warships outside? So there's a bunch of them. But he doesn't want Akainu to know what he's up to. And I'm only because he's like, I'm going to take the head of Straw Hat Luffy back to him so I can earn his approval. So now we know somewhat of his personality. We know he has a thing for ladies. Now we know he has a respect for Akainu's methods, even though it's completely on the extreme. I'll touch back onto Green Bull by the end of this chapter because there's a lot of people thinking he's from Wano. Then we go over to the Flower Capital, to where we see the real celebrations taking place, where we see the fireworks about to shoot off. Before then, Kid, because he died off when we got the bounties revealed, going after Luffy because Luffy's now been recognized as one of the 4 emperors. So obviously Kid's here to challenge him, but before he has a chance to, Luffy grabs a hold of Kid and has his arm around him, which kind of reminds me of Zoro and Law back after Dressrosa when we had the celebration of the Straw Hat Grand Fleet. And you had like Law and Zoro interacting. It's a complete parallel here. The two supernova rivals, Luffy and Kid. But by the end of this, Kid's like, I want no part of this. So everybody's celebrating. You got the Scabbards, you got the Minks, and you got the Straw Hats, minus Robin and Jinbei. So obviously this is not the banquet, so that has to come later, or if not next. The second biggest part of the chapter is what we found out about with the 4 emperors being named. That was teased in the previous chapter. I wasn't too sure about that, but we got 2 new Yonko. 2 of them are still the same in Shanks and Blackbeard. And what's hilarious about this is Kid is like showing Luffy about this. See, this is why I'm here to kill you. Luffy has a Gear 5th like expression where his eyes are bugging out of his head. He doesn't say a word. The 4 emperors are none other than Shanks, Blackbeard, Buggy, and Luffy. Now, what's interesting, Luffy was already kind of mentioned, like the Fifth Emperor, even though that was propaganda. That wasn't official. So, can we officially say that Luffy is an emperor or not after this chapter? Because that's still up in the air, in my opinion. But Buggy is more believable because, one, he already became a Shichibukai pre-time skip. But what's interesting is the last time we saw Buggy, he was surrounded by Marines, and it cuts because the Shichibukai system was no more. We assume it's because they had to catch a Buggy. But now I'm wondering, was that when they anointed Buggy as one of the 4 emperors? And I'm like thinking, no, it can't be that, because Gorosei had not got word that Kaido and Big Mom fell until the previous chapter, so that can't be it either. Buggy dodged the bullet because now he's recognized as one of the 4 emperors. Because he said, I'm going to become one of the 4 emperors pretty soon. Turned out to be true, so it's not a gag. Ryogoku is heading for the Flower Capital, he's heading for the festival. So, and we know he's here to capture Luffy or take his head. And it's cause he's walking away. We see the dried up lands. He's restoring vegetation and the plants, so that's pretty cool. So he can drain life force. He can restore it apparently. So that's pretty broken. He says we're not in a good mood right now because it's chaos in the world. It's a real mess. So more teasers as to what's going on elsewhere outside of Wano, which we've been teased ever since before Wano Act 3. So we're pretty close to finding out what happened with Sabo, Wano, Hancock, and Vivi, as well as the rest of the Shichibukai. We know what happened with Buggy, apparently. He's one of the 4 emperors, which is crazy. He was a part of Roger's crew, as was Shanks. So I can't wait to hear Buggy's reaction to this, because he thought he was going to be captured by the Marines. Now he's one of the 4 emperors, alongside Luffy, assuming that's official. And that's the chapter. And apparently Oda is on this break they talk about. So as of right now, we're going to be getting another One Piece chapter until July. I initially assumed it was like to prepare for like the final saga that would be beginning as soon as he got back, but no, that was kind of naive on my part of thinking, because no, it would mean he would have to rush to this chapter and just wrap everything up. Obviously that hasn't happened, and we still need the plot. We still need to find out what was written on that poneglyph in that basement that Robin discovered. If it was the real poneglyph, we need to know, and Luffy needs to know. And the other thing too, if Robin could be captured, but if so, then what happens with Elbaf? Because if the 4th and final poneglyph is an Elbaf, like a lot of people have speculated, doesn't that imply that Robin has to be there to decipher it? So Robin can't be captured yet, because that's endgame territory. So unless the raw poneglyph isn't on Elbaf, and I'm thinking maybe it's on Mirajose, which was my other prediction, then we'll have to wait and see. I'm still on the fence about that, and I guess one way or another we're going to find out what happened to Kaido, and if Yamato's actually going to join the Straw Hats. Once Oda gets back from his break, he's going to wrap up Wano. He's going to start the final saga as soon as he comes back. So no, that's not going to happen, which is probably a good thing, because it would be back Oda into a corner. So I like this. I definitely think this is the best chapter we got this month, considering we got Admiral Greenbull finally revealed as the new Yonko, replacing Kaido and Big Mom. Whether or not you think Luffy is officially an emperor or not. Yeah, things are really getting interesting. I can't wait to see the finale of Wano and where we go from here. Let me know what you guys think down below. That's going to do it for you guys. So much for watching. Like the review if you did the thumbs up. I appreciate that. Subscribe to for more One Piece. Catch you guys later. Thanks, guys.